One guy, he can shoot. The other guy, not so much.
Get that stuff out of here.
And although they're very different in many ways, most importantly, they're brothers for life. And they always gonna have something to say.
Alan, just take a picture. You gonna put certified bucket boys? No. Certified bucket boys. Certified bucket boys. Here we go. Welcome back. This is I Got Something to Say. Home of the Unmitigated Dog. I'm your host, Quaylen Q. Smith, along with my partner, Alan A.J. Ward. Alan, what's happening?
Not much. We got some spiciness to talk about today.
It's getting hot in this kitchen. Ayo! Okay, here it is. Let's talk about this. We want to talk about the victimhood mentality. What has inspired this? Well, for those of you who know, Bran Flores, former NFL head coach of the Miami Dolphins, has filed a lawsuit against the NFL and three of his teams, in part for unfair hiring practices against minorities in the NFL, as well as some what he views to be unacceptable business practices by the organization. Brief synopsis. He's suing the NFL for, again, his unfair hiring practices against minorities, mainly black coaches. He's suing the Denver Broncos for showing up late and being hungover at his interview. Okay? Suing his former team, the Miami Dolphins, for, in fact, firing him when he felt he did not deserve to lose his form of employment, that being the head coaching position that he formerly had. And then the New York Giants for hiring the wrong Brian Daboll, as opposed to him, Bran Flores. This got me and my co-host to thinking, this victimhood mentality that Bran Flores is exuding, is it warranted? Is it justified? And how should we view it? I'm going to let Alan start here. Alan, turning it over to you. Bran Flores' mentality and situation, is it justified or is he bugging? What say you?
He bugging. Buddy a goofy.
Buddy a goofy.
Now, here's why. So Bran Flores, he coached for 3 years. He was 24 and 25. As the head coach for the Miami Dolphins. Fired. Okay. Maybe unfair, maybe not. Okay, cool. But let's look at their past history, right? Adam Gase was 23 and 25. The former coach before Bran Flores with a playoff appearance. Fired. Joe Philbin was 24 and 28. Fired. Tony Sparano was 29 and 32 with a playoff appearance. Fired. And these guys were white. So maybe this is just how they run their organization, fair or not, but you can't say it's because you're black, because you had three white dudes before you, literally happened to them. And he's also upset because, like you mentioned, the Broncos, they showed up to the interview apparently drunk. Okay. It's called unprofessional. Like, you can't, is that racism? Interesting. Okay. He's also upset because the Giants allegedly they chose their next head coach before he was interviewed. Okay. Companies do this a lot. It's not a crime to, get your man before you finish interviewing all the candidates. And this is a direct result of the Rooney Rule. The Rooney Rule is a pity rule, and I hate it. You cannot legislate desire and outcome. What you get is pure and utter chaos and disgruntled employees, like so.
That was strong, and I appreciate you, using my notes. I'm not so sure when you snuck in my house to look at my notes and copy them for yourself. I should have went first because everything you said is right here in front of me. But I'm gonna go just a little bit deeper. For those of you who do not follow the NFL, did you know Chris Grier? Know that name? Don't know who he is? Let me tell you about him. He is the GM, the general manager of the Miami Dolphins, the team that let Bran Flores go. You want to know something interesting about Chris Grier? Did you know that he is also a fellow African American, like Bran Flores? Did you know Bran Flores's replacement is an African American? Did you know the Miami Dolphins employ the most minorities by far in the National Football League. But they're racist. You know, I hate to call this person out, but I have to do it. Emmanuel Acho, one of the hosts for Speak for Yourself on Fox Sports One, made the comment that yes, he was fired by a black GM. However, obviously it came from white ownership because they were okay with it, kind of evading the culpability of the person who actually fired him, thus justifying Flores's feelings. I not only vehemently disagree, but I'm gonna take it to another level. Stop with the victimhood mentality. You know what? Like Alan said, they are a terrible, awful, bad organization. They don't win. They don't keep coaches. This is what they do. The only difference between what they did with you and what they did with the other coaches is I can't find it. Want to know why I can't find it? Because it doesn't exist. They are consistently awful. I got more to say, but Alan, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back to you. What you got?
So in 2018, there were 8 black head coaches, but somehow that wasn't enough, right? The league is 70% black, but somehow, some way, we all agree that the best talent is on the field. But when it comes to the black men in leadership, we don't give it the same energy. It's like there's a quota that needs to be filled. But when is enough enough? Nowhere in life are companies equal. You go to Target, car washes, whatever company you want to go to, it's not going to be equally cut down the middle when it comes to races. So why is it such an issue that it's not equal here? There are only, 12% of African Americans in the country. So say you start with company number 1 and you divide, all the black people and white people, and you make it half and half for each company. Well, eventually you're going to run out of companies. You're going to run out of black people because there's just not a lot of us. So nowhere in life is it equal, and nobody cares. Nobody ever cares that it's not equal in all these other instances. Like there's 70% black players on the field, or minorities, because I think it's like 59, and like the other percentage is like minorities. But once again, people only want to talk about black people. So
because like other minorities don't exist. It's always
they
a
don't
black
exist.
Conversation. But go ahead.
Right. So why don't white people complain about there only being 30% of them on the field? Like we don't hear them complaining about it. So why is it that there just has to be, we just need to have, black coaches everywhere, black GMs and black owners? Like, why? So who are we firing to get these black people? And who are these people? I only hear, Eric Bieniemy, who, okay, Bran Flores, Hugh Jackson, or Jackman, I don't even know his name no more. Like
Jackson, who was awful, by the way, but go ahead.
Who are we hiring? So, I don't understand it.
And then I'm going to take it a little bit deeper. You did a great job. I'm going to take it a little bit deeper, though, when you talk about the equality. It's funny because if you notice around the NFL, you see an influx of African-American coordinators, offensive and defensive. But again, like you said, that's not good enough. We need to be, and by we, I mean these people who think like this, we need to be top dog, quote unquote. We need to be in the highest paid position as opposed to being satisfied with what we have and growing into the next thing. About the victimhood mentality, because this is really what this is about, just the victimhood mentality overall. Bran Flores did inspire this, but we're going to just take it a little bit deeper than that as we go in here. Here's a phenomenal quote. Listen to this. It goes as follows. I have it here on my phone here. It says, and I quote, "Your complaints, your drama, your victim mentality, your whining, your blaming, and all of your excuses have never," all capital letters, "gotten you even a single step closer to your goals or dreams. Let go of your nonsense. Let go of the delusion that you deserve better and go earn it." Somewhere along the way, this victimhood mentality that exists in a lot of people. It's not just towards one race or one group of people. We've narrowed it down because of this instance, but this is actually unfortunately universal, to where it's like we feel like we're owed something. You, because of past, the history of my people, whether that be race, age, the whole nine. You owe me this now to X, Y, Z, this, that, and the third, blase, the whole nine. What's up with that? Where's the hard work? Where's the determination? Where's the consistency? Where is the culpability and accountability? It's like it does not exist, and I just cannot figure out why.
I completely agree. Like you stated earlier, the man that they hired in his place in Miami is a biracial individual. And when the media asked him about this whole thing, about his take, I actually loved his response. He doesn't care about all this nonsense. Let's stop for a second. Let's talk about familiarity. If I own a business, let's take a step back real quick. Quaylen, who do you identify with more? Like who are you more comfortable around? Is it Black people or is it white people?
I prefer the Irish myself, but for the purposes of this conversation, I'm gonna go with Black people.
And why is that?
Well, because there's a bunch of Black people everywhere I look. And I grew up with Black people because my parents, did you know my parents are Black? Pretty interesting.
Exactly. So if I own a business, I'm going to hire people who I'm just more comfortable with, that they may look like me. You may have a white man and a Black man coming to an interview with me, and they may be both just as qualified for the same position, and they both kill the interview. They both leave a great impression. Who am I probably going to hire? Probably the Black person. Not because I don't like white people. I love white people. My wife is white. I love white people. But I'm just a little more comfortable around Black people. Why? Because that's my culture. It's who I grew up around. My parents are Black. It's who I saw every day, all day, for as long as I can remember. I'm just more comfortable. So take a look at the NFL sidelines. You look at all the coaches, the running backs coaches, the quarterbacks coaches, the linebacker coaches, the special team coaches. Go to the college level and go to the NFL. Just look. Most of them are what? White. So you're not gonna have a lot of Black head coach candidates. Why? Because there's just more white people to choose from. So if I close my eyes and you put all these names into a hat, and there is 100 white people and 30 Black people, I'm probably gonna pull out more white people, right? That doesn't mean
Absolutely.
that people are being racist. So victimhood mentality is downright disgusting and dishonest.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to go just a little bit deeper here, and this is why this is a convoluted point of view and argument. For those of you who don't know, who don't follow the NFL, we already kind of talked about Bran Flores, but there was another hire for the Houston Texans. They hired a very well-known coach named Lovie Smith. And what's interesting about it is Lovie Smith is an African-American, an older African-American gentleman. Great guy, had some success when he was with the Chicago Bears back some years and carrying on. But what's interesting is everybody, including Bran Flores himself, out of the horse's mouth, not only downgraded that hire, but just outright didn't agree with the hire. So it's like, well, what do you want? The whole goal of this lawsuit, the whole goal of the Rooney Rule, which Alan brought up earlier, which is just ridiculous, is to get more Black people in these positions. But when we get more Black people in these positions, now it's like, oh, well, that's not really what are we talking about? What do you actually want? I say this all the time. I said I wasn't gonna say this, but I'm gonna say this. If it gets edited out, it'll get edited out, but I don't think it'll get edited out. You have to ask yourself the question: Are you fighting for equality or superiority? Because those are two completely different things. Equality, you want 50-50. If that's what we really want, okay, boom, here it is. I want us to go to every black-owned business that's all black, whether it's a chicken joint, whether it's a store, boutique, whatever the case is. I need us to get rid of every, not every single, but half the black people in there, and let's get other races in here, just so we can make 50. That's not what you want. You want power. You want superiority. Everybody, to a certain degree, likes having control and power, whatever the case is. But ask yourself, are you really in desire and quote unquote need of equality? This is a quote that a lot of people are not going to agree with, but I'm gonna say it. Okay, I'm gonna say it. Racism is not not dead, but it's for doggone showing life support. Nobody wanted to hear that. But when you start taking instances like this and claiming racism because they showed up to your interview late and hung over, which you can't even prove, because they fired you just like they do everybody else that's been in your position over the last 3 terms, 4 including yours. None of it. Just none of it's racist. So when you start using instances like this to say, hey, this is racism at its finest, it ain't dead, because racism still exists. We know that, but it's on life support. Alan?
I'll say this in conclusion. People love to be the victim in today's society. And if you think about it when you're talking to your friends and you're talking about your upbringing. People, and I've been, guilty of this as well. We love to flaunt our humble beginnings and how we had roaches, no money, syrup sandwiches, crackers for dinner, just, lights cut off, eviction notices on the door, cars getting repossessed. We love to just act like, oh yeah, I had so hard and I came from the bottom, man. It's like, that ain't good. That's not good. That's not something that should be celebrated. Why do you like, huh?
That's not a flex.
It's not a flex. Why do you want to be the victim? Why? Why is that like so important and such a medal? Why is that a medal of honor for you? And in that case, you actually were a victim. Eviction notices, cars being repossessed, not being able to pay your bills. That actually is, you actually are a victim of something. You do have it really hard. But when you're in the NFL and you're getting paid millions of dollars to coach and hundreds of thousands of dollars to just coach in one of the most prestigious organizations in the world, and you get fired the same way other people got fired, you're not a victim. Stop it.
I'm going to leave it on this. To your point, one thing I hate, H-A-T-E, hate, is when, along the same lines of what Alan was saying, when people just have to flaunt or flex, hey, I have it harder than you. My job is so much harder than you. My upbringing, my situation. Oh my God. Okay, your mama. Because everybody, I don't care who you are, where you came from, what you're dealing with, we all have things that we struggle with. Just because your struggle is different from my struggle does not mean your struggle is not a struggle. We all struggle. The sooner we can get that through our heads and actually exude that into our dealings with people that we know and look like and identify with, and those that we don't, at least from a background and racial perspective. This even goes into sex, into age, into whatever the case is. The sooner you realize you can identify somebody else's struggle and have empathy and sympathy for their struggle, the better off that we all will be, but also the happier that you will be, because it does 2 things. It's a principle. Everybody, Alan, you're gonna love this. It's a principle. Love does not look for its own interests. Okay? So when you are identifying and finding what's going on with other people and taking a look at that and saying, okay, hey, I got it bad, but so do they. How can I help this person? How can this person help me? Everything comes back full circle. And now it's one revolving door. By the way, I hate revolving doors, but in this case, I like it. One revolving door of success. But we're going to drop this right here. We always got something to say. I got more to say, but I'm going to leave it right here. Thank you for tuning in. This is I Got Something to Say, home of the unmitigated golf. Make sure, first of all, you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you check out our sponsor, Mo Culture, for this video. Great clothing. You're gonna love it. You're gonna look good in it. Click the link. It's down below or up top or somewhere where I'm not so sure where it's gonna be put, but it's gonna be here. Make sure you check it out. Check out our Instagram, all of our socials. We got more coming from you soon, or coming for you soon, excuse me. We will be back later on. Keep in mind, if you want it, we got it. If we ain't got it, we gonna get it. So get it while the getting is good. We out of here. Booyah!